Close your eyes for a moment and imagine sitting at a small writing desk. Candlelight flickering, inkwell at hand, a fine sheet of cream paper before you. Across town or across the seas, someone you love or respect awaits the arrival of your words. In the era of Queen Victoria, writing a letter was more than just sending a message. It was a ritual that conveyed character, intention, and connection. Before the mid-19th century, the cost of sending letters was high and the service limited. But with innovations like the prepaid stamp and the penny postage system, letter writing became widely accessible. The newfound access meant that people, especially in Britain and the English-speaking world, were writing letters to family, friends, lovers, emigrants, business partners. The written word bridged distance in a way nothing else could at the time. But this wasn't casual. There were rules and conventions. For example, the style of a letter should be adapted to the person and the subject. To superiors, it should be respectful and deferential. To friends, familiar. To relations, affectionate. Even the physical materials mattered. Paper quality, ink color, the address, the seal, all spoke about the writer's taste and social standing. A recollection reads, "Both paper and envelopes should be of fine quality. It conduces to fine penmanship and perhaps inspires the writer with fine thoughts. Never write a letter with red ink." For ladies and gentlemen alike, the act of letter writing carried such weight that manuals were published instructing how to craft every type of correspondence. For a romantic note, for example. Letter writing is, in fact, but conversation, carried on with the pen, when distance or circumstances prevent the easier method of exchanging ideas by spoken words. So when someone penned, "My dearest," or "Yours affectionately and forever," they weren't batting about casually. They were engaging in a form of intimacy mediated by ink and paper. Many letters of the Victorian era show how people expressed feelings in places and situations where speech alone couldn't reach. For example, emigrants off to far-off lands, soldiers abroad or colonies used letters to remain tied to home. Lovers separated by travel or circumstance used them to sustain hope. A typical sentiment. "My dearest Harriet, ever since the other evening that I was introduced to your endearing presence, my heart has been riveted to the lovely image of you." The preservation of letters was also significant. Letters became objects as much as messages, kept folded and sealed, sometimes scented, sometimes locked away. They served as tangible reminders of connection and character, and social conventions gave them meaning. A black border on stationery signalled mourning. So an ordinary "How are you?" from the Victorian era wasn't quite so ordinary. It carried weight, style, and intention. As the 20th century approached, technology, telegraph, telephone, began to erode the ritual of the written letter, or at least our dependence on it. But the legacy remains. When we find a Victorian letter today, we're not just reading words, we're reading lives, social codes, emotions, and history. The ritual, the care, the physical detail, they teach us about a world where a message took time and attention. So the next time you type out a quick email or send a message with a tap, imagine instead dipping a pen in ink, selecting your finest paper, folding the sheet, sealing it, and entrusting it to the post. The Victorians knew that a letter was more than information. It was personhood conveyed. In that way, their letters still speak to us today. Thank you so much for listening, and please do me the greatest honour of liking and subscribing to the channel. Thank you very much indeed. Until next time, goodbye.